Let's go. I think we're live. How is everybody doing today? If you can hear me, drop a live down below so that I know that you can hear me and you're coming on live. Let me move the massive sun. The sun's wonderful, but it's really in my face right now. Should have done this beforehand. Anyway, if you're watching live, give me a hashtag live down below. If you're watching after the fact, give me a hashtag replay below. If you're interested in what I'm talking about tonight, then smash the Care Bear and smash the heart so Facebook knows that you guys like this kind of stuff and that it pushes it deeper into the algorithm and more people can see it, which would be awesome. And so if you like it, do that. If not, that's okay too. But what I wanted to talk about today was why being nice to your clients is ultimately one of the worst strategies for them to be successful and what you can do instead. And so I know this sounds ridiculous, and I know nobody usually would tell you stop being nice to your clients because typically we think, oh, I better be nice to my clients or they're not going to keep paying me. They're not going to keep with me. They're not going to get results. But what I see as a fundamental problem, especially in new coaches and a lot of coaches, especially in like the health coach realm, like we're all health coaches, people watching and everybody out there in viewer land. If you're a health coach, your goal is to make people happy. Typically you get into this to make people feel happy, to make yourself feel happy about helping people. But the problem I see with a lot of newer coaches and even intermediate level coaches is they kind of scapegoat their clients' inability to hold themselves accountable. And what happens when you do that is your clients don't learn how to question their actions. They don't learn what it means to actually look at what they're doing and see the flaws behind progress or no progress. And with that, they don't learn how to be long-term accountable for their own success to themselves. And when you teach someone to be accountable for their own success to themselves, when you teach them how to think about it, how to critically dive in and how to look and how to analyze, how to understand, you give someone the keys to their long-term success. But here's what I see with a lot of new coaches. And this is what we teach inside the Angular Momentum Method. We teach the marketing, the sales and all that, but we also teach how to fulfill, how to communicate with clients, how to build a program around client success, how to challenge clients and all of that stuff. And so if you need help with that kind of stuff, drop a help down below and I'll see if I can help you. But here's what most coaches will do in the beginning. What they'll do is they'll get a client and the client will come on board and they'll talk to them about like, hey, so here's what we're going to do. Here's how it works, blah, blah, blah. Let's take health coaching, for example. They'll give them a meal plan. They'll give them other stuff. The client won't do it. And they'll say, that's okay. Let's just try to pick up next week. But that's a massive problem, a massive issue. We're about to make a big issue throughout the course of the entire program. What's going to happen with that client is they're not going to do it the next week. They're not going to do it the next week. They're not going to do it the next week. And ultimately that client's not going to get results. And what's going to happen is that client's going to in turn blame the coach because they don't understand how to recognize the inability to follow the process. And so what needs to happen is a program needs to be designed in a way to where it accumulates micro segments of progress. So in like health coaching, we're not going to give you a meal plan in week 1. We're going to help you organize and build your calendar so you have time to make meals. You have time to eat. So you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and the meals you want to eat organized in your day so you don't forget about them. And we're going to teach you how to not work past your meals and forget to eat them. So that way the first microcosm of success is set up. Then when we introduce something like a meal plan and a client doesn't follow it 100%, we're going to say, well, what do you think happened to prevent you from being able to follow it this week? Oh, well, this and that and this. Okay, well, what do you think you can do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Because if it keeps happening, it could become a habit to where you might not possibly be successful. Oh, well, I can adjust this and that and this. Okay, well, so if you plan on adjusting this, that, and this, let's make a schedule to do it. So let's organize what we want to do. Let's write it down and let's really make a plan to when this happens. I want you to set due dates and then I'm going to hold you accountable on each one of those dates to this being finished. So what did I do there? I didn't allow them to say, oh, when they said I didn't do it, I didn't say, oh, that's okay. Let's work on it. It's okay. Let's get better at it. I said that let's make a plan. Let's get organized. Let's recognize that we didn't do it and recognize that it could continue to be worse if we don't, and recognize that we can create a plan and also understand that I'm going to hold you accountable to making sure that plan happens. So there's 2 instances there. It's not that I'm going to be being a jerk to people. It's that I'm holding them accountable to what they weren't able to do and accomplish. Some of my clients, if they don't have the ability, if they don't do something consistently, and I see it as a habit, we will have them submit an end of day review. So what did I do this week? This is what my numbers look like. This is my sound off. And they get used to analyzing that stuff. And what it does is it puts them back in the habit of doing their numbers. It puts them back back in the habit of paying attention to what they need to be doing. And it makes them aware in the present moment of what they're doing and what they're not doing. So I could say, oh, that's okay that you didn't shoot numbers this week. That's okay that you didn't do it. Let's make it a plan to work on it next week. But guess what's going to happen? They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it again and again and again. And it creates a perpetual cycle that is your fault as the coach that you've allowed it to happen. And so I think as coaches, we need to get better at challenging clients appropriately. And when I say clients appropriately, challenging them appropriately, what I mean is you're not telling them they're bad. You're not telling them they're wrong. You're not telling them they're horrible people. What you're doing is you're asking them questions to bring them to the present moment and helping them build and organize a plan to make it better long-term, and a plan to organize themselves to start to become consistently aware of what's working, what they're doing, what they're not doing, and how they can accumulate the skill to become better at actually being present in the moment of what's working and what's not. And so I think one of the biggest challenges that you can do, or things you can do as a coach, is move the need to be friends with your clients aside. And let me know if this is making sense so far. If you guys are watching, I've got 5 viewers so far. Drop a makes sense down below if this makes sense to you. And if you think this is a viable thing to talk about, drop a makes sense down below. And then smash the hearts real quick if you like what I'm saying so far. But I think what we have to do as coaches right now and as providers to people who are paying money for a service is we need to get out of the idea that we're their friends. And you can be quote unquote friends with your clients, but they are not paying. This isn't a fraternity. You're not paying for friends. You're not paying for a bunch of boys to slap each other on the butts and run around in circles. They're paying to get results. They're paying to get out of a place of pain. And so if they're in a position to where they're paying you, you want to be their friend, well, it might be time to expand your social circle a little bit, because your clients shouldn't be your friends. You are a professional. Your clients are a person living in pain who needs their pain solved. And as a professional, it's your responsibility to guide them to solving that pain and problem. And as a professional, it's your responsibility to challenge them when they don't do what they're supposed to be doing. It's your responsibility to hold them accountable when they do it and when they don't do it. It's your responsibility to help them learn to celebrate. It's also your responsibility to help them stop procrastinating. If you can take on those responsibilities, then you're ready to move up a level in coaching to where you can actually create change. If you're not, you're just going to create a perpetual cycle where people pay and the results drop off because they stop doing it. People pay, the results drop off because they stop doing it. And so that's not the cycle we want people to be in. And that's where a lot of new coaches end up. Their clients come in, they might get a little bit of results and they fall off the face of the earth and they don't get anything after that. And that's how a lot of programs are organized. They know that it's going to be a perpetual cycle where people have to keep paying to get results. But that's not how we want our programs organized if we want transformational programs. And inside our Brain Code Rewire program and our Angular Momentum Method program, where we teach business professionals and health coaches to become aligned with actually creating transformational programs, one of the things we do in creating that is creating the ability to be purposeful in your coaching environment. And so every meeting has to have an agenda. It's not, what am I doing? What are you doing? Why are we doing this? There's an agenda, a very specific agenda you go through. Their client says something, you ask them why. Client answers, you ask them how they're going to fix it. They answer, you have them create a schedule. So you have to be able to create alignment with people and hold people accountable for what they're doing and not doing. And sometimes that's a hard conversation to have with people. So you need to be able to work on your tonality. You can't come across as a jerk. Like if someone doesn't put their data in our data sheet in our program, I don't say, well, why didn't you do your data this week? What are you, stupid? I approach it appropriately. So, hey, let's look at your stats. Oh, I didn't do them. You didn't do them? Oh no. What? Well, why though? Well, I didn't have time. What were you doing that was more important that the data on your tracking sheet is going to show us to produce business for you? Oh, well, I was doing this. Okay, well, was that more important than the revenue you need to grow this thing? Well, no, probably not. All right, well, were you spending your time in the most appropriate way? I guess I wasn't. Okay, well, let's make a plan to make sure that we put the data in every day for the next week. And then I want you to report it to me on an end of day report. So we want to do stuff like that to be able to hold people accountable, to ask them questions about why they did something or why they didn't do something, and help them become presently aware with their behaviors. Behavior is one of the most impactful things we can change. And it's the biggest way to create new habits for people to be successful long-term. And I think it's the most neglected part in almost any coaching program. Nobody teaches behavior change, habit change, questioning clients, creating this dynamic to where you're not their friend, you're their coach, you're their actual mentor, and you're there for their own success, even if the conversations are sometimes difficult. So if you guys need help building something like this in your own business, drop a help down below. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop your questions down below and I'll go back and forth with you. But if this makes sense and if you got value out of this, drop a yes, or drop a hell yes down below if you got a ton of value out of this and you like this, and share it if you agree and you think more people need to hear this, because I think as an industry, we need to grow. As an industry, we need to expand. And as an industry, we need to be able to create the ability to communicate in a way that actually aligns with people creating success habits and ultimately people creating change in their own behavior that allows them to be successful long-term. As coaches, we need to get away from the industry and the idea that we're their friends. And we need to get away from the idea that we want people to pay us forever, because we need to move to the idea to where we're creating long-term change for people that allows them to think on their own feet and gives them the keys to their life so they can live the way they want for the rest of their life. And they're not attached to paying someone forever. I think we need to move into an industry to where we create real change long-term, because that's impact. And that's the impact that we need to move toward. Not this thing where you allow things to get scapegoated. You allow people not to do things. You allow people to push things off. You can't allow that, because you're allowing your clients to be failures. And I will not, and I will never bet on anyone's failure in my programs. And I hope you guys won't either. So if you're not willing to bet on failure, drop a hell no down below. And that's all I've got to say today. So if you like this broadcast, drop a live down below. If you didn't like this broadcast, just don't say anything. Or if you watch the replay, drop a replay down below. And if you need help, drop a help down below and I'll see if we can possibly help you. But that's it. If you got questions about what I had to say, drop your questions down below and I'll answer them live, or I'll answer them in the comments down below. I'm terrible at grammar, but I'm really good at writing. So you'll get half and half good. All right, you guys have a great day. Drop your questions. There's 5 of you. So if you have anything, let me know. If not, I am going to jump off in approximately 30 seconds. We'll play the Jeopardy theme song if I can find it while we wait. Hey, thanks, Darian. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for jumping live, Shelly. Appreciate you. Gustavo, the man. If anybody wants sushi made in their home that tastes like the sweet nectar of the gods, Gustavo's the man for it. Sammy's a gentleman and a scholar. Let's see who else is jumping on. Shelly's on still. Tim Trainer. Tim is my brother from another mother. He's an amazing individual. Once he helped us build a massive weightlifting competition and he stayed the whole day. It was like a 12-hour thing. And I don't think he knew what he was getting into. All right, that's it. Drop your questions down below. I'll answer them live or I'll answer them later. That's it. I am going to jump off because it's time to do some jujitsu. Huzzah!